expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
And you'll get arthritis, skin cancer, probably one of the common chronic diseases like CHF, COPD, diabetes. At All County Healthcare, we teach you how to manage your disease. We make sure you know how to take your medications and how to recognize signs and symptoms before requiring hospitalization, no matter how many visits it takes. You didn't move to Florida to be sick. You moved here to enjoy the rest of your life. And that's exactly what our team of nurses, therapists, and aides at All County Healthcare help you do.
The following programming is furnished by you and your doctor.
The content, information, and opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Ant2.tv presents You and Your Doctor, teaching you to live a longer and healthier life. Proudly sponsored by All County Healthcare, where people are the heart of our business. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified agency where one call will service all your home care health needs. For more information, call 954-717-7027 or visit our website, allcountyhealthcare.com. Now, let's get informed to living a longer and healthier life. Here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back to another episode of You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. We are at 954-717-7027. We're a Medicare certified home health care agency right here in Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade. I'm your host, Louise Gomez, and I'm excited to welcome our guest, Dr. Serena Goldstein, naturopath doctor right here local in Delray Beach. And you're going to want to write her number down right here in Delray Beach. Her number is 646-450-1704. And your website is easy to remember. Yes. You did a great job with that. drserenagoldstein.com. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I'm super excited. They all know that's my jam, naturopathic medicine, and it's something that is near and dear to my heart. I feel like that's how I grew up. So, Dr. Serena, could you tell us a little bit more? What is a naturopathic doctor? If you could give us a little more of an explanation, people want to know.
Of course. So as a naturopathic doctor, we go to school for about 4 to 5 years. The first 2 years is pretty much all, I say, conventional medicine based. So the first year is a lot of basic sciences like anatomy, phys, immunology, biochemistry, and so forth. The next year is labs, imaging, diagnostics, pathology. Then we have our first set of board exams like the USMLEs. The next 2 to 3 years, depending on where we are in our lives per se, that's where not only do we learn all the ologies like gastroenterology, endocrinology, and cardiology, and so forth, but pharmaceuticals, as well as nutrition, botanical medicine, homeopathy, IV therapy, naturopathic manipulation therapy, and I know I'm forgetting one.
Very in-depth.
Yes. And minor surgery.
Okay. That's a broad spectrum, which is good, right?
It really is. And, from that sense, we also have a course in emergency medicine, so we also know, how much of can we treat versus to refer out. And then we have our final set of board exams, which are about 3 days, 500 plus questions, all case-based.
Wow.
And, we also start clinic while we're in school versus, conventional medicine when we're out. But really a lot of the philosophy is, yes, we start with lifestyle first, taking the least invasive measure, doctors, teacher, treating the whole person. So we have a lot of different philosophies that come along with all these modalities as well.
So a lot of people want to know, what would be the difference, if you can give us an example, what is the difference between an MD and a DO doctor?
So an MD goes to conventional medical school where they do a lot of pharmaceuticals and surgeries and, really learn a lot of diagnostics. They're great with that. Similar with DOs, but DOs also work a lot with the body and kind of have that they can do that hands-on, some adjustments a bit more in the orthopedic realm.
Okay. And why should states license naturopathic medicine?
Because we're primary care trained. And there's also a huge shortage of primary care doctors. And as we come out of school, especially because when we work with people, our first visits are about an hour. So it really allows,
I like that.
So it really allows for that overview of the patient, getting an idea of how does your family history and your past medical history play into what's happening now versus whether it's just a pill for something or just a supplement or whatever that one treatment is. We're really able to look at, we're looking at the whole person. What else may this person need down the line? So with that, because in licensed states, we could also prescribe certain medications, especially administer IV therapy. So there's also a broader range that, depending on the interest of the doctor, they would also have the ability to provide for the patient.
I love it. I think more and more people are open, and the way they see that, lifestyle is such an important factor in our health. And so I think more people are embracing and welcoming your field of naturopathic medicine. So you're in the you're in the right place at the right time. I know that for sure. So this is a great question. How can you help people with hormone health? I'm asking because 50-something, and we want to know how can you help us?
So many ways. So as I usually talk to people about it, it's never just hormones.
Okay.
So the way our whole system works is that we have different signals with the different organ systems within our body. So that's why, yes, we can always look at thinking about, all right, maybe we need to replace certain hormones. Where do we need to refer out or bring other docs on board? But at the same time, that bigger picture really leads into how can we nourish the organs that are helping produce those hormones. So one of the axes, like the hypothalamus and pituitary, located in the brain. And then we have the adrenals, the two glands that sit on top of the kidneys. Those are super important, responsible for making our sex hormones, our stress hormones, regulating the salt-water balance. So when we're really thinking about hormonal health and what it means for health and learning about what to do for the lifestyle piece of it, that's when we can really address sleep, stress, the mental emotional side of things, because there's usually a whole transition going on too.
Yeah. So if I got this correctly, if we strengthen our organs, that will be benefiting our hormone health.
Exactly.
Wow, that's good to know, because a lot of people think, I just need bioidenticals or hormones, but the root cause would be strengthening the right organs.
Exactly.
Right? Which makes sense.
Yeah, I think, and there are times too that I'd say, depending on the patient and where they're presenting with, or what they're presenting with, there is a point of like, okay, well, maybe we need to get some hormone on board. Maybe they'll go to their MD. Maybe they've been on hormones for a while. And that's where it's like, all right, well, let's take a look at some other symptoms.
I like that.
Chances are maybe their sleep's a little off. They're waking up in the middle of the night. There's some anxiety. There's, oh my God, but what happens if I do get off hormones? Like in that immediate, and I'm like, let's actually get some nutrients, and maybe we need to look at diet first. Maybe there's some gut stuff going on. So this is where, okay, like let's start getting the body familiar and the mind a little more acclimated as well.
Yeah, that's huge too. Gut health, our microbiome, and how I know it's related to like the gut-brain axis.
Definitely.
How it's like a second brain, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, especially most of serotonin is made in our gut. And fun fact, the gut also has, well, in addition to it having about 4 pounds of gut bacteria at least, there's also a special part of the gut called the estrobolome, and that helps detoxify estrogen.
Oh.
Yes. So there's
to
another
know.
piece of hormonal
And
health coming
another-
into
So
coming
that's
into play.
actually regulated in our gut. So fascinating to me, the body and
Yeah.
how it works. Wow. So, quick question: what are some of the ways you can help people with stress? Because, come on, we're living in a time where stress could be a big factor. So, what are some of the ways you can help us?
Yeah. So right off the bat, I think of connection. Really being able to connect with others, whether it's calling a friend, maybe going to an event. Sometimes it's even a conversation with the friendly barista, around the corner. As humans, we are meant to have those social interactions, really beginning with lifestyle, because I do believe that's a lot of where it starts. So let's say going out in the morning, just getting that whiff of fresh air, putting your feet in the dirt if you
Yes.
can, touching a tree, hugging a tree, just something to interact with nature. Or if you live in a big city, maybe it's even having a picture of nature just to induce a little more calmness and, oh, what would this be like if I was even in that picture?
It's so true, because I know, I'll speak for myself, when I make a conscious habit in the morning, I do go out. I work from home, but I do go out and say I'm going to get like 7-8 minutes of like sunlight and fresh air, and just taking a moment before I start my day. And I do notice a difference. Being around nature for me has made a big difference. So it's like, right, back to basics.
It's
It sounds so
huge.
simple, and it's like, no, that can't be it. But it really is, right?
Yeah, and that's why I say too, it's like supplements help supplement what we're doing.
Right.
But getting the basics in, and the good news is you go two ways. There's a lot of basics, which means, oh my God, could this be overwhelming? But at the same time, it could be, well, maybe start with 2 or 3 and think about how you can incorporate it into your life. Having those mindful moments throughout the day, whether it's chewing your food at a meal, allowing at least a half hour for every meal if you can. And then being able to reflect and integrate, okay, what did I do today? What could I do a little better? What do I need right now? Getting used to those body cues, because, I always talk with my patients about intuition and really getting to know ourselves. And
I mean, it's so easy for us to be on automatic, right? We're so used to those certain things that we got to get up, we got to go to work, we have to do this. But just adding presence in our lives, from what I'm hearing you say, and just being present when we chew our food, when we, do something, adding presence can really help us, I guess, reduce the stress.
right?
Becoming aware, right?
Because, that way too, we really get to know ourselves, know those internal cues. And then from there, okay, well, is there a certain food maybe we're not doing too well with? It's then where we start to notice, then, we can go into, depending on the patient, whether it's food intolerances, do we need to bring in certain supplements? And that's why too, sometimes it's hard for me to say, okay, well, take this whole list of supplements.
Right.
But because every person may
Sure.
also express stress and anxiety a little bit differently.
Absolutely. I'm a big meditator, so of course
Yes.
I want to ask you. I do transcendental meditation because I needed to learn how to do it. What do you suggest? Like, how do you suggest that meditation can help us with our health?
Because in that sense, we just get to notice what's going on in our head. We just get to notice what thoughts, what stories. It's not always necessarily about paying attention to every single one per se, but we get to notice, okay, where are those thought patterns coming from? What am I feeling right now? And trying to connect those together. So even if it's just taking some deep breaths for a few minutes in the morning, I know the Calm app is great. That's a great
Yes,
beginner.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, or even just, putting on some music, whatever it means for you to just have that time away from, whatever you're doing, to just breathe.
And for me, when you said notice, meditation has helped me become the observer.
Right.
And so that can translate into my life. Like, okay, I am the observer. I'm not necessarily all the thoughts, right?
Exactly.
What about diet? I mean, this is huge. People want to know, what do I eat? You know, all these different diets. Is this good? Is that good? I don't know. Is this diet good for my body? What is your go-to as far as what you can recommend for diet for people?
Yeah. So one of the things I've noticed, which has been interesting with the diets, because we've learned about blood type diet, paleo, Mediterranean, vegan, vegetarian. Oh my God, there's so many. Think about your culture. What did you grow up eating?
Right.
I mean, okay, well, I know if there's the standard American diet in there, well, we'll still be shifting away from that over time. But I mean cultural, like to what country, your heritage, where that's from. Because you may actually find yourself gravitating towards that food that you just tend to feel better with. If you've tried different diets for a certain period of time, take an inventory, as I tell my patients too, and reflect on how you feel. Were you sleeping any better? How were your energy levels? Because some people are like, oh, well, I definitely want to do vegetarian, or I want to do gluten-free, and I want to do this. But it's almost in that gusto where there's no real reason behind it. Where commonly I've found that, let's say if people do remove common allergens or do try diets, there's almost this, okay, we'll try it. Maybe it's eating certain fishes or proteins, and they'll notice, oh, I feel a little better with energy. My mood's a little more stable. So for example, there was a point in time that I went vegetarian for a while because I thought, great, this seems to be, just really good. Let me try it. It's super healthy. My energy tanked.
Wow.
And it was just not something that I realized I was able to sustain. So little by little, when I added back in the fish, the meats, then I noticed, all right, well, if I'm going to choose those, let me then choose the high quality stuff. So that's the other big conversation. It's not just, oh, pick this, pick that, but what's the quality, especially of the fish, the chicken, the meats, and all of that we're consuming as well.
So we should be consuming wild and not farm-raised?
Right, like wild caught, grass-fed meat, organic, especially when possible. So.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
Definitely makes a difference. What is a missed mechanism?
Ooh,
I don't know if I'm not sure what that is.
I'm wondering if it's maybe something
Not sure.
Maybe like one of those, a couple of those clinical pearls. Maybe try it.
Okay. No worries.
There. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're passionate about what you do. What was the reason that you became a naturopath?
Of course. It started early. When I was in high school, I had a lot going on my sophomore year of high school. And it's like I was go, 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 and then I hurt my arm in gymnastics, and all of a sudden, no gymnastics, no more music. And I actually fell into a really deep depression.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, why am I feeling this way? That was not my typical outlook on life. So I started going to the library and reading young Erickson and Freud to try to figure myself out.
Wow, look at you.
15.
You're diving deep at 15.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And then, this is where, too, it's good to get a sense of who you need, whether it's healthcare professionals or who you're working with. And eventually, I wound up finding a therapist. This was now come my junior year of high school. And she changed my life.
Wow.
She was great. I think I saw her for about a year and a half, and I realized I want to give back what she gave to me. I want to help people heal. So I go off to college, and I had just tunnel vision to getting a PhD in psychology.
Okay.
However, so I started as a psychology major, but as a Japanese minor as well.
Oh, wow.
So I finished with 3 honors Japanese when I was in high school.
That's amazing.
Thank you. So I tested into Japanese 2 my freshman year. And when I didn't quite get along with my teacher too well, that's when I thought, oh man, what do I do now? Because I still needed that stimulation.
Right.
And one of my good friends at the time said, why don't you go pre-med? You could do more for people. Well, I always liked chemistry, so why not? And that's when I went pre-med. So this was now freshman year in the spring. The learning community that I joined, because that was the only way I could start biology, he was very into natural medicine, like had chrysanthemum tea in his office, very into Chinese medicine and all the modalities. And
Where were you going to school?
I was in Barrett Honors College at Arizona State.
Got it. Nice.
And there was a naturopathic school 10 minutes away. And he was like, field trip, we're going to naturopathic school. And we're like, we didn't know what that was, but all right, sounds good. As soon as I walked through the doors and I saw our principals, doctor as teacher, helping the body heal, really utilizing the power of nature, it was just, it hit. And
it resonated
that
with
was
you.
it. Yeah, and I was 19.
Wow. That's amazing, because what you said was also really impressive to me. In high school, you were your own advocate.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, because sometimes we have to be our own advocate,
It's very true.
And that's a great example, because before we go to a doctor, we have to advocate to say, I want to go to a doctor. I want to see a naturopath. I want the best, that I can have. So I think it's important that everybody becomes their own advocate to reach out, to heal, to want to heal themselves in a natural way. That's how I was raised, and I certainly do believe that for sure. So you went to school in Arizona, but you're originally from
New York City.
New York, okay.
Born and raised.
Born and raised, me too. Okay.
Nice.
And so you have a lot of experience with different people, which is really good too.
Yes, definitely. I would say a lot of the patients I work with tend to be a lot of where I came from, the very high-powered type A, go, go, go.
Right.
Where generally they ate pretty healthy. Generally, they kind of knew what to take. There was always, they had that idea. But what I found where I could really fill the gap was someone to understand their lifestyle, their drive. How do we make, whatever advice, I provide at the time, or however we decide to work together, making it long-term and sustainable for then whatever they want to do, as they're just as go, go, go and driven as well.
That's so key, to make it long-term and sustainable. Because, if someone says you have to do this and this and this, if it's not, intuitive to who we are, maybe it's not going to be sustainable. But you look at how their lifestyle is, and then you create a plan. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You create a
and
plan.
then, I always say, let me know what works, what doesn't work. Because, of course, I want it to work for you, but, if we need to pare things down, shift certain foods. I've also had patients decide, oh, well, maybe I need more of a meal plan, and they decide to join certain programs or even bring other people on board. And I say, great, because what's cool is they had the inspiration to do it.
Right.
But yet now I can be more of their guide rather than here's the exact steps you follow here, here, and there. They get to have that energy of being inspired on their own.
I love it. So what works, what doesn't work, what do you get to add, and then you help them continue their journey.
Yeah.
I love it. So how can people connect with you, learn a little bit more about you? I know you have a website. You want to tell everybody your website?
Sure. Yes, so the best way to connect with me is through my website, which is drserenagoldstein.com. Super easy to remember. From there, I do offer complimentary 20-minute phone calls, so you're welcome to book a time. There's also a contact page as well. Send me an email. And then, of course, on the bottom, you will see all my social media down there where I do newsletters, I'm on Instagram, you'll see my videos,
Nice.
all that good stuff. So I
Right.
very much look forward to hearing from you.
And you're right here local, and if somebody wants to tune in, you can do a consultation over the phone or...
Correct. Yeah, so I do work virtually as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on. I really learned a lot.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah.
I really think that people are more open to wanting to research other options, not just,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sick, I want to go to the doctor, and what's the medicine? You know, I think people are starting to wake up and say, you know, what is it that I can do? Maybe my lifestyle can be different. So thank you for sharing all of your wealth of knowledge, experience, and
course.
information. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm going to repeat her number, 646-450-1704, drserenagoldstein.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful night, everybody.